All right, guys. So I'm Elizabeth from what? I'm leading the data initiatives in Vueling from a personalization and revenue management perspective. And today I want to share, how we can leverage data to personalize the customer experience. And I just wanted to put this in perspective by, making you guys think about like examples where you get frustrated because you have not been shown something which is more relevant to you. And now that is the world has moved to a phase where the customers expect things to be personalized at all point. So you don't want to see content which is not relevant, and that's why personalization becomes very important. And data has a big role in personalizing the customer experiences, and this is what I want to talk about today. So this is how I want to go about with it. So first I want to explain what is the objective while doing personalization, what as a business we can benefit. Second is what is the kind of a strategy we are following in Whirling, and examples of some data products which led us to doing some personalization, and what are the enablers cross-functional team collaboration, and infrastructure is something which is important, so I want to cover that. And if time allows, with after all this, I would like to deep dive into like some two personalization products, like optimizing price and recommending products at a very, very high level. So this is pretty much the flow of what we are going to go through today. Okay. So even before getting into the data part, let's first understand what is personalization. Here, when as a customer, when you see that you have personalized experience, what do you see? So you want to see products which are personalized for you, which is more relevant for you. When I say personalized, it's more relevant for you, and the price is more or less based on your willingness to pay, and it is shown to you at the right moment. You don't want to purchase at all the time, so it is shown to you at the right moment. And there are different segments in each of the business, and like each segments have different preferences, so the right product is shown to the right segment and across all the touch points. And that's very important because we need to be consistent across all touch points, because these touch points are where we communicate with the customer. And what would this lead to? When you are shown a better product or something which is more relevant to you, it's going to improve the conversion. Thereby it will improve the revenue. It will improve the customer experience. Like, you are shown relevant product, you have a better experience with the business, and it's going to increase the customer retention and improve the brand perception. So at a high level, we can touch upon a lot of KPIs by improving the personalization. On the right hand side, you will see for wording for it, these are the touch points with the customer, and I'll tell you why this is important from a data perspective as well as personalization perspective. So if you think about it, these are the touch points where you can actually show some content to the customers. So this is the opportunity you have to show something to the customer. And from a data side, it is more this is a place where you can capture information, like understand what your customer prefers, or the customer preferences. And if you think about it, like every digital touch point, it creates millions of data points. And capturing the right data point is also super important for doing good personalization. Until unless you capture like small things like, okay, let me check if that's working, or what is that? That's an implicit sign of customer is interested, and which is very important to present something for that customer. So that's why the touch points with the customers are very important, and collecting the relevant data at each of the touch point becomes relevant for, from a data perspective. So let's move forward. So now we have understood what is personalization. That is basically providing the right product price at the right moment, the right content, and like at every touch point. So this is what we aim to achieve by doing personalization. Now at Whirling, how do we do this? I mean, it's not just at Whirling, like at many other businesses, this can be the building blocks basically. So what? what is that you can personalize for your customers? So it can be the product, it can be the price, it can be the content. So what is that thing which you want to personalize for your customer? That is the what part. And who, because different, there are different segments, they have different preferences, there are segments, micro segments, and everybody has different, needs, and you need to cater to those needs. So as a business, we need to understand who our customers are, who are these segments are, so that we can come up with the relevant products. And the third one is when. Is there a timing when I can personalize some kind of a content? It can be based on the stages of the customer life cycle. Like, for example, when you just became a customer, it can be very generic because I don't know anything about that customer. But as and when you make more transaction with the business, when I say business, like, for us in Vueling, more bookings, more about the customer. So I would be able to personalize even better. So based on the stage of the customer life cycle, we can show the right content, or do a better communication with the customer. Now it all integrates into the touch point, because once you come up with the what, who, and when part, it has to be integrated with the touch point with the customer. So what I mean is, like, from the point from pre-purchase to, like, they make a booking, then post booking is there, like, where you can push upsell products. They take the flight, then after the flight, they want to buy the next flight. So there are several touch points we can influence a customer with. And ensuring whatever we build at what, who, and when, this has to be integrated to each of these touch points. So these touch points are basically some tools. So you have some martech tools where you should integrate, this is the segment, this is probably the preference they have, and you should recommend this to your customer. So each of these tools is where you have to integrate this data. So if we are able to do this, we would be able to get to personalizing the customer experience. And how do we do this? Like, we need to build a good data and infrastructure, because as I told, like, what, who, and when, we are basically building some data products, and these has to be integrated to each of these tools. So integration and building this, the data, pre-processed data, or even data predictive models, and integrating this with different touch points is the data and infrastructure I'm talking about. And another thing which is super important is to have collaboration between cross-functional teams. Why do I say that? Let's say that you build customer segments, or you build like a kind of a recommender system. Until and unless it is not integrated into the touch points, it's not useful for the business. So and everybody has their role to play. Like, the data team is building this data products which is integrated into system, and the team which actually communicate with the customer, for example in the marketing team, they have to understand what are these segments, and what is the kind of messaging I have to give. So there has to be very close collaboration across teams to ensure that proper personalization happen. So this is the high level of, like, how we can get to personalization. In the following slides, I would like to take you through like a couple of examples of the data products on, what, the who, and the when part. I'm deliberately not covering the where part, because it's more of, like, after we build these models, how do we integrate it into each of these touch points. So I'm covering, like, the what, who, and when in the following slides. So the what. So as I mentioned, like, it's not that all customers need the same product. And how do we recommend the right product to the customer? So an example of a data product is, like, ancillary recommender. I mean, ancillary is nothing but, in the airline industry, it's a bag, the seats, or like the priority check-in. These kind of products, what you buy after buying your flight, is the ancillary. So recommending the right product based on, many contextual information. It can be also, like, based on your past booking information. So recommending this answer recommendation can be a data product. The price, again, every customer, they don't have the same willingness to pay. So you can use that to recommend the price. There are some customers who are more likely to buy something, so you can price it a bit higher. There are some customers who are less likely to buy. The way I could convert is like, reducing the price. And at the end, this is going to improve the revenue. So there is a lot of things we can play with the price. And also, you can give discounts when you know the willingness to pay is lesser. There is an opportunity to improve the conversion by giving discount. So there are a lot of optimization you can do on the price, knowing some of the contextual information, like when they are planning to book, or like for when it comes to pricing, it's more tricky. You cannot use any of the customer information to price it. However, you can use contextual information, like how many days before are you buying the flights, or how much are you ready to pay for the tickets. So there are other information which you can use for pricing. Now on content, when you come to, let's say, like example, like Vueling website, if you are always shown the same route, it may not interest you. I mean, you may not be a person who would like to go to the beach and it is always showing you the beach destination. It may not be relevant for you. So another thing is, like based on what you have booked in the past, or like what other customers similar to you has booked, the routes can be recommended to you. So even the content on the home page or on the app can be personalized based on the interest of the customer. Now let's move to the who part. So do you know all your customers at the same depth? I mean, this is basically because when you have one transaction with the business, you know very little about the customer. So you would go for a very generic recommendation. Whereas when you know a little more about the customer, you can go more personalized, because I know this customer have done this in the past. He likes this, so he's more likely to buy this. But when you don't know anything about the customer, it's more safer to go with a generic recommendation. So here we have shown a process how we understand the customer. So basically identifying, like, what do they do at different touch points. Okay, this is like one transaction they have done with you. This is the least information I have. Then you can go to the next step. Okay, why are they traveling? Is it for business or is it for leisure? This is more to understand what type of a purchase was that. Then we can go deeper into like when you have many bookings, or like many purchases. Can I tell a little more about this customer? He belongs to this particular segment. His general needs are this. And at a final, or a more advanced stage, is to do a more of a user research to understand, okay, why do they travel? What are their exact needs? Having more conversation. So this is more qualitative. This is not just quantitative data, but this is more of a qualitative research to enrich the personas and understand more about the customer. So this is the who part. This will help you to understand the segment, the micro segments within your business. And then let's talk about when. So what is the timing you want to engage with the customer? And this can be based on, like, the life cycle, the stage of. So when you just acquired the customer, you know very little. And one of the thing, like as a data product, what you can look at is, like do you have limited resource, or I mean, when I say resource, it's like marketing budget to attract new customers. Do you want to attract all of them? Maybe no. You just want to attract the customers, like who are most likely high value customers. So as with data, what you can do is, like you can find lookalike audience of your high value customers. And engagement, again, like when they are doing multiple purchases with you, when do you want to make an impact, or when do you want to make that communication with the customer? So you would probably do a kind of like I've mentioned here, propensity purchase. So this basically means that, okay, I would make this communication to the customer if I'm able to predict that he's going to book in the next 10 days, or like in the next 1 month. So I want to make a communication only then. Otherwise, I don't want to impact him, because he just made a booking a month before. So this kind of, when do I actually communicate with the customer, can be understood using data. And like a lot of the customer past behavior can be used to predict when the customer is going to book next. Again, on the retention side, you have a lot of high value customers, and I want to retain these set of customers. And how do we do that? So, I mean, if we know that these customers are not booking for a long time and they are high value, that trigger communication with the customer and activate these customers, or give them offer. So this can be also enabled using data. Attrition model and all, attrition examples like attrition model, where you are trying to predict if the customer is not going to buy and they are high value, you can trigger actions to retain these set of customers. So this is how you can basically use data. Like there are many examples of data products you can build, but I've just covered like one example of each to make it very simple. Now, this is like this slide basically covers like what are the enablers to personalization. So the most important part is what I mentioned even in the beginning of the call. Like it's a collaboration across cross-functional team, because data is just one part. You can build model, you can pre-process data, you can do all that until if it has to become actionable, or like if it has to be up and running, there should be communication across many teams. It should be business, legal. I mentioned legal because we have a lot of data protection acts, GDPR compliance, etc. So the legal team has to be also involved. Technology, when I say technology, like you have a model, it needs to be integrated on the website or any of these tools. You need technology and the data. So since we are talking more about the data, just wanted to highlight, like, to build these data product, what are the kind of profiles we would need? So we need a data product owner who would have a vision of like, what's the kind of a KPI you're going to improve by building this data product. Data engineers to do the ETL, capture the right data, even monitor, like, when you build product and you actually put it on production, to see like, okay, is it actually performing as expected, to have this, do this A/B test, capture the data, the performance. We need a lot of engineers, and I didn't put analysts, like data engineers and data analysts. They are very important in the team. Data scientists to build the models. When I say model, it is the predictive models. And then the architects. So when you plan for building any data products, you need an architect to say, okay, this is the data architecture we need to follow so that this product is finally delivered. In Vueling, I just want to highlight that we take guidance from like industry expert like AWS. We have built a recommender system with the help of AWS. On the Google side, we are working on some digital. We are working with the digital data. So we do take guidance from other industry experts to make things faster than we could do internally. Now, the second point of like, the second part, what is important to build personalization is like, continuously building and adapting the data infrastructure. So what do I mean here? Like one is like to enrich data, that is like capture the relevant data at all touch points. And, we sometimes we don't capture the data, and it's very important that like for any predictive model to work well, it needs right data inputs. So that's why like capturing the relevant data becomes very important. And the integration, I think I stressed it many times here. When I say it is integrate the relevant information, it can be a predictive model, it can be a pre-processed data, or even it can be a real-time event. So when you come to the website, I know that you're going to book in so many days, and like you are booking for 2 people. So these are real-time information which can be useful to predict, like what is the best product for you, or what is the best price for you. So integrating the information is very, very important. And how do we see that, all after all, you build all this product, and one thing is to measure the impact. Is the product what you built is actually working as expected? So it's very important you do an A/B test. And A/B test is more quantitative, to say that you plan to improve the revenue per customer by X percentage, and you do it for the test and you don't do it for the control, and see if the metric is working. That's one way to see if it is working. Another way is to get a qualitative free feedback from the customer. If the because everything cannot be quantified, so sometimes it's super important to get a qualitative feedback from the customer. And this entire feedback loop should be there when you build products, so that we can evolve the products. And we are dealing with the customer data, so the GDPR compliance is another thing which has to, or it's a must to do, and it should be part of the building data and infrastructure. I don't know how we're doing with the time. I wanted to cover like two kind of a data products we built. Just let me know if I need to stop, or
Thank you. Thank you so much for asking. Actually, we're a little over time, but I also
Yeah,
know
sure.
that it's not fair because we had our technical issues with the platform. But I don't know. I'll let you decide if it's you want to round it up with this, or if you want to take some of the questions.
No, I think we good. Okay, like I think I've covered most of it. It's just like to give people an example of how do we do recommendation, how we can
Yeah,
get contextual data, build a model, and how it actually go live onto the production. So I
fantastic.
think it's okay. I'm
Okay.
happy to use the time to take questions if they have
Okay,
any.
so there's one here that it says, is there any chance in your organization for lateral entry career changes to start their career as data scientists?
Yes, I mean, we have the team, the data team is growing, and we have ample opportunity, and I think lateral career, that shouldn't be a problem. I think whoever is asking can actually reach out to me.
Fantastic. And let's see, there's another one that says, can you share some sources to learn KPIs and your organization product knowledge, e-commerce related domain knowledge?
Can you come again on that, please?
Yes, can you share some sources to learn KPIs and your organization's product knowledge as well, and the e-commerce related domain knowledge as well?
I mean, KPIs, I think it should be more for every companies have their own KPIs. They would have their objective, and if they are meeting the objective, are generally measured using a KPI. So I don't know if I have any kind of a material for it. It would be very specific to each and every business. And on the e-commerce side, if you talk about Vueling, we are right now just started on the digital space, at least to use it for personalization part. We are just started using, that means the click behavior of the customers, using it as input to the model. We have just started using it. I don't know if I can cover that with something more.
Amazing. Okay. Basically, yeah, the rest is like a thank you to you for the presentation. But I also know that if someone wants to actually, I mean, reach out to you, we have your email, you're one of our guests also. So that will be very nice and
Okay,
interesting.
sure. No,
So thank you, Elizabeth, so much. I'm sorry that we had to go
no,
through
no,
this.
don't worry.
But I don't know as well what was happening, but it was gladly solved. And thank you very much for all the insights you gave.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks to everyone. Bye bye.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Bye.